All right, Kojo. I read your book on addiction.
Yeah.
I think it's a very impressive book, and I'd like to know a few things from your book. First of all, I want to know what addiction is. You see, because I realize addiction has really imprisoned quite a number of people.
Very true.
So I want to know what it is.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a privilege, actually, to be used to bless the lives of many. Now, a lot of noise has been made about addiction, right? So what is addiction? One key feature of addiction is loss of control, right? Addiction is when a person loses control, right? To be enslaved, right? To obey the desires of his mind and his body, right? So someone who is addicted is enslaved by the desires of his mind and his body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's serious.
So in natural sense, the person is a slave.
Okay.
But
A prisoner.
A prisoner. And you see, I've always been saying this. Someone who is truly addicted cannot come out by his will.
Okay.
You see, many people ask me this question. I like watching television. Am I addicted? Did you get it? It's not about what you like. Someone who is addicted is now a slave to his desires and his passions.
Wow.
And is being moved to obey his desires and his passions. And wherever his desires take him, he follows.
Wow, that's serious. Yeah. So can you tell me how this whole addiction thing works? How does it work?
Okay, now I know this is an interview, and I can assure you that we can't finish every detail.
Okay.
One must get a book and read. So I can just touch on some few things.
Okay.
Do you get it?
That'll be okay.
Addiction works as a deception. That's why it's so successful. Imagine everyone knew that addiction will make you a slave, get you probably sick, and end up dead in 4 years' time. Or you lose a family member, you lose your relative, you lose your close friends. Who will get addicted? No one.
Yeah.
So addiction starts like a deception, right? I'm going to satisfy your desires, right? You're going to have what you want. You're going to be happy in life. You're going to enter into a certain state of ecstasy. Do you get it? So the front page of addiction is very attractive, but it's the inner pages. So addiction works like a deception, right? Take any form of addiction, pornographic addiction. No one gets one day and says, I'm going to watch pornography. Some do anyway, but I don't think they're the majority. But it starts like everyone has a desire. Every guy has a desire to wear some things. A normal desire. No. It starts like that. Then one finally becomes a slave.
Wow.
So the start is beautiful and attractive and appealing, but the end is deadly.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that addiction uses the medium of the senses, like the outside.
Yeah.
You get it, the outside.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly so.
Wow.
You become a slave to your senses. You see, God created your senses, right, for you to use them, not to become a slave to them. Someone who is addicted is now a slave to the senses. He's a slave to what he sees and a slave to what he hears. And the reason why the book was written was to give the solution, right? And that's why we write Breaking the Power of Addiction, the faith solution to addiction. How to break addiction by walking in accordance to the Word of God. So this book was primarily written for believers, right? Because you see, the inspiration of the book came when the Lord laid this upon our hearts, right? That many people, many believers are still in bondage. They go to church, they sing in the choirs, right? They minister in church, they play instruments, they are slaves. They don't know how to get out. They can't tell. There's no one they can tell. They feel guilty, condemned, they can't pray. They are enslaved. It's not like they want to be there. They are slaves.
Okay.
And they don't know how to break free.
Wow.
Okay, so the book was written to teach them how to walk in line with the Word and break free from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, we all know those things that we get addicted to are bad. You get it? But how come it looks so attractive? Why do one get addicted to something? What pulls you?
Okay.
What's the pulling force?
That's a very, very important question. You know, there are different theories for addiction.
Okay.
Right? No, I was surprised when I did my research into addiction. I realized that there's not one fully accepted theory. Right? There's one theory that's more sociological, that someone is addicted based on the social influences on his life and his relationship with people, and what he wants to get approval with, and how he wants to attach himself to something so that he also be important. It's more of a societal something theory. There's another theory that's biological. Do you get it? That someone, by the way of the nature of his body, do you get it, is easily susceptible to certain substances. Do you get it? And can easily fall addiction to. Do you get what I'm trying to say? By breaking the power of addiction, teaches the faith solution to addiction, how to break free by the word of God, right? And we teach in the book Breaking the Power of Addiction that addiction is made up of two main components. Right? Addiction is a spiritual force, right? Or let me say it more accurately. Let me quote from the book. Addiction is powered by a spiritual force and is sustained by a mindset. Addiction is powered by a spiritual force and is sustained by a mindset, right? To break free from addiction, break the power of the spiritual force and then renew your mindset.
Okay.
Now, what is that spiritual force? One must read the book. I don't think we can go deep into that. But let me just touch a little bit about spiritual force of addiction. The spiritual force of addiction is the force that tries to keep someone a slave to his desires and his passions. You have different forces on this earth. You have physical forces. Everyone knows what the physical force is. You take a stone and you throw it. You're applying physical force. Right? But spiritual force has ability of affecting the spirit and the mind of a person. Hate is a spiritual force. That's why it's universal. Okay. And it can cause someone to do something. Addiction is that particular force that tries to push a man to be a slave to the desires of his mind and his body. Right? That's the spiritual force of addiction. The next thing is the mindset. The two components of addiction, the spiritual force and the mindset. After the person is pushed to be a slave, he will never have really been a slave unless his mind didn't agree to it. Okay. No spiritual force can push you beyond the will of your mind. You get it? So before someone is truly a slave, his mind is affected and it becomes a mindset. So to break addiction, remove the power of the spiritual force and then change your mind. Okay. That's what the book teaches, breaking the power of addiction.
Okay. So addiction first attacks your spirit and then it moves on to influence or imprison your mind. Is that what you're trying to say?
You can see it that way. Okay. You get it? But we didn't really want to go into the details. You see, breaking the power of addiction, we didn't want to go into so much detail about this and this and this, but to give you the steps to break free. Addiction is a spiritual force. Yes, it affects your spirit, but the goal is not your spirit, it's your body. Okay. Do you get it? The goal is not your spirit, it's your body. Affects your mind, then your body is subjected to your passions and desires.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So then what is the solution?
What is the solution?
What's the way forward? Yeah.
This is a solution to addiction. It comes from the definition of addiction. Addiction is powered by a spiritual force and sustained by mindset. To break free from addiction, break the spiritual force, and then renew your mind. You see, there are other people who say addiction is just a mindset, just a way of thinking, just change your way of thinking. But the truth of the matter is, those who are really enslaved can bear witness. It's not just a matter of changing the way you think. It's first a spiritual force, then a mindset. So to break addiction, break that spiritual force, and then renew your mind.
How do you bring the force?
How do you bring the spiritual force? You see, this is the way we put it in terms of the logic behind the book, right? To counter a physical force, you need a physical force.
Okay.
To counter a spiritual force, you need another spiritual force. To counter the spiritual force of addiction, you apply the force of faith, the spiritual force of faith. So that's why Christ said that anything is possible to the one who has faith. You see, that's why the subtitle is the faith solution to addiction. How someone applies faith, right, in the resurrection of Christ to break the spiritual force of addiction.
Wow.
So that's how you break the spiritual force.
Okay.
Apply your faith. So we teach the faith principle. We teach how you can apply your faith to break addiction. To change your mind, right, is a matter of put new things in your mind. Change the way you think about your identity, who you are, why God created you. You're not created to be addicted. You're created to walk a free man. He that Christ sets free is free indeed. So you change your mind, you change the way you think, and then you walk in freedom.
Okay.
That's the solution to addiction.
Wow, I see. I don't know whether you can summarize the faith solution or the steps of faith that one needs to take. Or is there anything like that, like a general step 1, step 2, step 3, to solving addiction or to breaking free from
I
addiction?
don't know how much time we have. Do you get it? I'll really suggest people read a book. And when it comes to reading the book, right, I mean reading the whole book. Because there may not be enough time to even hint, do you get what I'm trying to say, on the steps. I'll have to finish if I start. Because I urge people to read a book. But to summarize Breaking the Power of Addiction, you see the idea, I remember when we first had a seminar on the book, people were surprised that the book was only 74 pages. They thought it would be a very big book. We didn't write a book. The summary of Breaking the Power of Addiction is not to just talk about addiction, describe addiction and everything. It's to give you the practical steps to break free. So it's not a big book. It's a step-by-step faith solution to addiction where you read and you apply. Do you understand? So that's the summary of Breaking the Power of Addiction. It gives you the practical steps to apply your faith to break free from addiction you are suffering.
Then how do we get the book? Because I realize that not everyone watching us will have a copy. So we need to know how to access the book.
As at now, we are working on putting the book on our website. Do you get it? And you know we have a page in Facebook. You can search Breaking the Power of Addiction. But if you really need a copy urgently, just send a mail to www.breakingaddiction@gmail.com. breakingaddiction@gmail.com. Our site is on. Our page has our address, right? But it will be available online for download. The book will be available online for download in its PDF form.
Wow. I think I've learned a lot to myself. So we'll continue on this some other time.
Thank you very much.